kind of snuck up like life does, and so do repetitive motion injuries, right?
Right?
Janet,
That's
Happy
right.
New Year. What is up? I can't believe we're looking at February
Is
in
it
like
still January though?
in a few hours it'll be February. Literally a
Oh,
few
thank God.
hours. Yeah.
Thank God.
So for today's
Nice.
show, everybody, I'm going to ask Janice a question I've never asked her before. Don't worry, it's not a personal question, it's family friendly. But I don't think we've covered this before. Janice, what can you enlighten us about on injuries that are much more, I guess the words would be slower to accumulate over time, injuries that sneak up on us, as opposed to bam, I banged my elbow. You got an injury. Ow, I crunched my finger. Oh, I got an injury. What are some things that happen over time that we don't realize the symptoms until maybe it's not too late, but the injury is clearly there? You know what I mean? Rather
Yeah.
than something where you can say, oh, I caught it in time.
Yeah, no, this is a great question because I mean, your body's always talking to us, right? Or talking, my body's always talking to me, the voices in my head. I'm sure you have voices in your head too, Dan.
Yeah. Let's not go there.
Um, yeah, well, that's a different
Most of those
conversation.
voices are Asian, by the way, because one of my grandfathers was half Mongolian, just so you know.
Uh, so, I mean, our bodies are always communicating with us, and this is a great question because most injuries that musicians suffer aren't kind of like those sudden things. Like, yeah, of course, people like fall and maybe they break their wrist or they like whack their elbow on a
And you
corner,
know right away.
and you know right away. But there's like that we call that like a traumatic onset, right?
Yeah.
But there's like the other terminology that we use a lot is like cumulative injury, meaning that it just builds up over time, kind of like how you're describing it.
Kind of like marriage. Wait,
Yeah.
what?
I'm
Wait.
not gonna go there. Um, also for a different conversation.
Or having
Um,
kids. Having kids. We'll leave it at that.
also for a different yeah. That's something that never goes away. Once you have it, it never goes away.
Oh, yeah. Your son is what, 2?
No, he just turned 4 in
Oh
December.
my God. When did this happen?
I
So he's
know.
4. Our oldest is 50, and Janice is right. It doesn't go away. But go on. Cumulative injuries is what we're talking
Cumulative
about.
injury. So, oftentimes, you're not gonna feel anything right away. Let's say that you have, like you play a really intense gig or maybe, like, normally you're used to playing, like, 1 to 2 hours a day, and then, like, you have something happen and you're, like, play 5 hours a day. You're usually not gonna feel it. Yeah, you might feel a little bit of soreness. That could be an indication that something is going wrong, but it doesn't necessarily mean that something is wrong. It's just like, "Hey, pay attention to me," like, right? Take care of me a little bit. And most of the time, as long as you give your body enough time and to recover and whatnot, that should go away. However, if you keep kind of loading things, we're talking about like overuse injuries. That's kind of like a really good example of like something that kind of comes on like a low burn over time, and then like eventually you find yourself you can't play the way that you want to anymore.
Again, like marriage,
I'm
a slow
sure.
burn.
Yes, I mean, yeah, it's a slow burn. So usually people will start to feel one of the main things that I hear people talk about, and this is like also from my experience too, like as a musician and like having overuse injuries, is like you might get tired sooner. Like you might
Oh,
notice that you can't last as long as you once were able to. And you're like,
so
huh, that's like
the
weird.
lack of
Maybe it's like,
the lack of stamina could be a
yeah.
symptom to alert you that, hey, there's something to pay attention
Yeah,
to?
so it's not even like that it's gonna be painful. It's just like, you just kinda like
Interesting.
lose gas, like, maybe 80% of the way in when normally on any given day you could have like just powered through that, right? And
Yeah.
so oftentimes like these kind of injuries, it's not necessarily like you're gonna have pain associated with it 100% of the time. Sometimes it could be fatigue, or you get tired easier. Sometimes like you'll feel pain for a little blip, but then it goes away. But then what people will notice as, like, the problem or the issue gets more severe is that you might start feeling tired quicker and quicker and quicker, or you might start feeling the pain come on sooner and sooner and sooner,
Oh, that makes sense
or it might take longer and longer and longer
to
for the pain
recover.
to go away, right?
Yeah.
And that's where people start to pay attention. Is kind of where you're already kind of in that area where you're kind of it would take a little bit more to recover from that than just like, sleeping overnight and then your body is like ready to go again.
Interesting. For those who don't know, Janice is a physical therapist in Los Angeles, and she only works with the musician community. She's a musician
Yep.
herself, as she mentioned. So, Janice, if I could pull up your anatomy program,
Oh,
and
yeah.
are there certain um, for drummers specifically, but if you want to touch on guitar players, cellists, violinists, whatever, pianists, that's fine. But are there
Mhm.
certain areas that seem to be more susceptible for accumulative injuries that we maybe at first don't
Uh-oh.
realize?
Hang on, I need to hang on, I need to sign in. Hang on a
That's
second.
okay. Go ahead and sign it.
Let's
Are there
see.
certain areas that are more susceptible to that kind of injury as opposed to,
Uh,
arthritis or something that arises more quickly?
well, definitely the kind of the forearm muscles. So usually like the wrist extensors that it's like typically like people talk about like the tennis elbow. That's a common term that people will use for that.
Right. Even if they don't
Um,
play tennis.
even if you don't play tennis.
Right.
The other group of muscles would be the ones that kind of flex the fingers,
Yeah.
and that those would be on the inside of the elbow, and that would be called golfer's elbow. So even though you don't play golf,
So while you
so
do that with the program, I wanna,
yeah.
illustrate something that I may have mentioned on this show before, but, I think this is an accumulative injury where one day I woke up and I think it was my left elbow on the here, I'll do this, on the top of my elbow, it was like the size of a tangerine
Ooh.
and inflamed and set. I thought I got bit by a crazy spider or something. So I went
Mhm.
to the emergency room and come to find out it was infected bursitis.
Oh,
So
infected bursitis.
yeah,
Ugh.
and it just went. Is that
Ew.
like the result of an accumulative injury that
Hmm.
then exasperated and bam, just showed up? Is that what that's from? Is that an example of
So
accumulative?
if it's infected, maybe there's something else that got into it. So bursitis, so my app isn't working. I have to go in and do
That's
some more
okay,
stuff to it. But so like bursa, basically what that is like imagine like you have like a water balloon,
right?
but it's not filled up all the way. It's not inflated all the way. It's like you just throw a little bit of water in it and you seal it up, and it's kind of like squishy in that way.
Yeah.
That's basically what bursa are, and you have them all over your body, usually around like the joints and like where the tendons are, because they do exactly that. They absorb pressure or shock in kind of
So
high stress areas.
for people who are not science oriented, it's like if you see a boat pull up to a dock and someone
Yeah,
throws over the buoys so that it kind of cushions it to the dock. That's what
yeah,
purchase, like little sacks of fluid to help
perfect.
kind of cushion everything, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's a great analogy. And so you have bursa all over the place. You have a lot of bursa here because we put a lot of pressure through our elbows. You
Right.
also have like your triceps tendon that goes in through there. You have a lot of structures, and this is a very sensitive area. It's a very superficial area. It's just bone and
There's
skin,
not a lot
right?
of flesh. Yeah.
There's not a lot of like padding to go. And so it's common with overuse injuries or just kind of any inflammation that bursa because of the fluid will swell up. It's a big water balloon, and so it's going to swell up and cause pressure. So in your particular case, maybe you got an infection, maybe you had a cut, or maybe you got an infection somewhere, and it just kind of like set up shop in that one little area.
Because it was
Uh,
susceptible, and now I
yeah.
remember it was my right elbow because at the time, I was working at a extremely big and busy flooring store in Los
Mm.
Angeles, and I was measuring, so I was always doing this
Oh,
with the
yeah.
tape measure, and this is what got infected from doing that.
Oh,
Yeah, it
sure.
was that constant every day doing that with the
Oh,
tape measure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, but bursa can swell up quite a lot, quite considerably, with overuse or any kind of inflammation. But it's like where that inflammation came from. Is it overuse? Is it an infection? Is it something else? It's just kind of a symptom if in like the area that we're talking about.
Is there certain usage by particular musicians and the instruments they play, like violin, doing this all the time, or
Oh,
cello?
sure, like drummers, especially if you're kind of going through that repetitive motion, violin like
Mhm.
strings players, if they're bowing more on like their right side versus their left side. I don't
Right.
see it too common in strings players, but I have seen it before. That definitely is an issue that has come up.
Interesting. Is sciatica more of a cumulative injury over time, sitting incorrectly,
Hmm.
or
It sciatica is more of a symptom than a pathology.
oh, okay.
If that makes sense. So the sciatica kind of describes like pain or sensations felt through the course of the sciatic nerve. So
Mhm.
sometimes if you have like a pinched nerve from your back, that can manifest as sciatica, as like pain radiating down your leg. You could also have compression on the sciatic nerve itself, which is like the largest nerve in your body, like the chunkiest nerve in your body. You have muscles that cross your hip joint in your butt that, if they're tight, they can cause compression on the sciatic nerve and then cause the sciatic nerve to be really unhappy and then cause symptoms going down the leg.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's a lot of different sources of sciatica. Sciatica is more just kind of like describing what and where the symptoms are.
Got it. I had that for 9
Ugh,
years,
ugh,
horribly. I was in my
horrible.
late 30s, and I felt 90 years old. It was so debilitating, and the
Yeah.
pain was excruciating. It was horrible.
Well, it's such a large nerve and it goes basically like fibers of that nerve goes all the way to like the ends of your leg. And so
And
like
I
if you
felt
have
it, like, down to my heel.
yeah, and so if you have something like kind of if the nerve gets irritated higher up, it's not just going to be in that particular area. It could potentially, go the whole length.
Yeah.
Which is I would not wish that on my worst enemy.
If anyone's watching who wants to ask questions, go ahead and put something in the chat. Janice is right here, or right there, actually, now. Yeah. What have you addressed lately with clients that might be worth talking about that people can learn from?
I mean, a lot of I've been recently I've been dealing with people with a lot of like neck pain, and it's a lot of more just postural things, like people not taking breaks from looking at their phones or looking at they're working on their computer all the time, or musicians like violinists, like they're always in this position. So certain groups are always tighter than the others, and they're not doing work to kind of even that out when they're
Yeah.
not playing. So that's a really common thing that I've been seeing. So just kind of a lot of overuse of these neck muscles, and then with more overuse, they just get tight. And so usually it sounds simple, but it's like it takes a lot of time to like kind of implement this into your normal routine. But it is simple. You just kind of like do some stretches, like kind of elongate these areas, kind of let them like relax a little bit, give them permission just to like chill out. I usually encourage people to do it like once a week. So if you like put your nose towards your armpit and then pull down towards your knee, that's going to stretch one muscle group. If you turn your head away, still tilting away, that's going to stretch another muscle group. And those usually are like the main culprits of a lot of headaches, neck pain, potentially nerve related pain, like down the line, like more chronic conditions if their posture
Mhm.
is atrocious. So, those are kind of easy fixes that you can do that you don't take a lot of effort.
Interesting. Have you ever worked with someone where they either admitted or you deduced the fact that their injury is from too much head banging?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Not
And
so
I look,
surprising. Talk about that.
yeah, I mean, look, I'm never one to tell someone how to perform on stage, right? Like that there's a lot that kind of just happens intrinsically. Like
Mhm.
but there are things that, you know, if you want to make a show, like if you want to perform, right? No one wants to watch someone that sit on stage and just be in like perfect alignment and just like not move. Like that would
Right.
that's silly. Like I would never ask someone to do that. But what I would ask someone to think about is like maybe are there other ways to kind of communicate your emotion or communicate whatever energy that you're trying to, you know, display to your audience in through a different movement. Or maybe you don't go as far through your range of motion when you're doing that. Like it's always like, do you need to be doing that? And maybe the answer is yes. Maybe, you know, you're a thrasher and you need to be doing those kind of movements. So if you do need to be doing that, my job is to make sure that you have the flexibility and the strength to allow you to do that safely. Right. So maybe there are things that I can't change about how you perform or the way that you hold your instrument or the way that, you know, you go about your life. So are there things that we can help you build up so that maybe you're not putting as much strain or stress on the joints or the muscles or whatever that is.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Do you see an influx of clients any particular time of year, like through the holidays? Maybe people are doing more holiday gigs, beginning of the year, anything like that? Is your business seasonal because of that in any
My
way?
my my business is seasonal for other reasons because I collaborate pretty closely with Music Cares, which is part of the Grammy Foundation.
Hmm.
And so I do clinics for Music Cares basically in the spring and in the fall. So like I have really busy times those 3 month chunks of the year. Um, I do see a big spike after the holidays, particularly with like classical musicians because most of them are doing church services or Nutcracker is a really big thing that they're doing through the season. And so they're doing a ton of performing, a ton of performances, a lot of playing, where their playing load might spike, but they don't have the time to kind of pause everything and like come in and see me. So usually I'll see them in kind of like this jumbled mess and we have to kind of like sort through it before they get busy again in the spring. So usually those are kind of like my busy times. For the students that I treat, I usually see them more early fall as they're starting to return from the summer because a lot of times they'll be participating in summer music festivals, which also they'll be doing like high loads, high volume of playing that maybe they weren't doing before.
Right.
So usually it happens just after those spikes in playing.
Hmm.
So it depends on, you know, if you're a classical musician, I'll see a huge influx of classical musicians at a certain time. If you're more of like a pop rock genre, I'll see them, you know, usually after the summer, after like those summer music festivals have gone
Tours
on,
and
or like the
yeah.
tours are coming down. Like, so there's different spikes for different populations that I see, which is always really interesting because I do think about this quite a bit.
That makes sense. Yeah. And
Yeah.
even though it's in the notes, tell everybody how they can reach out to you. You do teleconferencing and consulting. Let everyone
Yeah.
know where they can find you.
Yeah, so I do a lot of kind of like virtual consulting for like ergonomics or setup. You can find me either on Instagram at opus underscore PT. You can find me at my website, opuspt.com. And so if you are in California, Washington State, Missouri, and Florida, I can see you for physical therapy. If you have like some kind of ailment that you need actual like treatment for, like I can see you either in person or virtually within the context of physical therapy. But I do a lot of like instrument setups that are not necessarily physical therapies.
Right,
So
all those other states, it's illegal. It's like running alcohol in the 30s.
I mean, I don't know if I'd be arrested, but I'm not licensed to practice in those states.
No, no, that's great stuff. And folks, you should reach out. I'm 60 something, and I thankfully don't have injuries anymore from playing. And I
Oh,
play, I when I play, and I feel great. Like I love it. It's so invigorating, and it's great to not have to play for like 2 hours in my studio to some very vigorous music. Genesis, yes. ELP, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, and be able to just walk back up the stairs and feel
yeah,
great. Not like, oh my God, I'm just, like leaving the gym if you lifted too much or did too many squats.
yeah,
I
yeah.
never feel like that. And honestly, a lot of that I attribute to our show and learning a lot from you and
Oh,
just
great.
taking care of myself. And
Yeah,
folks, I encourage you to all do the same, because a lot of if you're around my age, a lot of our favorite rock stars are now in their mid 70s to early 80s, and they're still doing it. Who
yeah,
knows if they go off stage and get a shot of cortisone, B12, get a massage, all this stuff. I don't feel like I need that. And you
yeah,
don't need that if you take care of yourself. It's important.
yeah,
Even
yeah,
if you're not a musician, those of you watching who love music, maybe you work at Jackhammer, you're in construction, you're digging ditches, you're training, whatever. If you have a physical presence, it's important to be aware of what your body's telling you. Like Janice said in the beginning, it's always speaking to you, and
yeah,
respond to that.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so much that you can do when you're not with your instrument to kind of help build resilience, and it's all about longevity. Like I'm sure any musician doesn't want to just kind of be a one and done kind of situation. They want to play for as long as they want to play, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important, and I'm so thankful that you have this kind of forum and kind of like helping get people a little bit more aware. I think it's a really important conversation that
Thanks.
musicians should be having and kind of like being aware. And I would say like that movement is there. Like people are starting to be mindful or kind of like think about that aspect of physicality of playing, which is really, I mean, that's if you don't have your body, you can't play, right? Or you can only play a certain amount. So
Right.
even if it is like, even if you don't think about it from the context of like avoiding injury, maybe even think about it with like, how can I be a better musician? Like, how can I use strength training or flexibility or, insert whatever variable? How can I make my playing even better by enhancing how my body's performing? And, for you, you don't have any injuries, like, thank goodness, like, knock on wood, that still stays the case, and you've been feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe there's like another gear that can be unlocked, right? And then in order for you to like be able to play crazier stuff if you want to or not. Like
Yeah.
if you're good with where you're at, then maybe you just focus on maintaining. But if a lot of musicians I work with, they come in, maybe they don't have something going on, but like I took a break from playing for a couple months, but I have this tour that I'm like getting ready for. I really want to be in good
Mm.
shape for the tour.
Oh,
Great, we have plenty of time. Let's give you a great, safe, but effective strategy to help you reach to kind of peak at that moment where
oh,
you're really feeling your best and being able to perform at your best.
that's
So
brilliant. Let's talk about that next
yeah,
month, February, on the next show. How to
yeah.
ramp up to be able to work up to peak performance, whether you're
Yeah, I
playing
love
ball.
talking about that because, like, yeah, I'm really good at helping people recover from injuries, but I love talking to people about preventing injuries, but then also just improving their capacity, right? And so that's a really great area that I wish more people would talk about, not just the injury prevention stuff, which is also obviously very important too.
Yeah, that's great. All musicians can truly benefit from that. So we'll make that the theme of the next show.
Great.
So awesome. Thank you, Janice. You've been a
Yeah,
great resource.
thanks.
We've been doing this for like two
Couple
ye-
years.
couple years or so. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
It's
it's
been
been
wonderful.
fun. I've
Yeah.
learned a lot too. So
Oh,
I
oh,
really enjoy
great.
this.
Nice. So we're launching 2026. Here's your first episode, folks, of 2026 in January. And watch for us on www.drumtalktvbrilliance.com. Scroll down, look at our calendar. You'll see when all our different shows are, all our different drumming competitions, all our different fan Q&A sessions with big artists, producers, record executives, all our game shows, music themed game shows where you can win prizes. It's all on that calendar at www.drumtalktvbrilliance.com. Check it out, folks. Janice, thank you so much.
All right. See you soon.
Thanks, everybody.